In Google Optimize Part 1, we looked at how we can use A/B testing to create an experiment that compared two new emotive titles for the website where you and I work, Jerry's Vets Online Hub Place. One of the headlines was chosen by you and one was chosen by me. That A/B test is still running and we look forward to seeing whose idea wins. But now, we've been called in to see the boss. Some things have transpired in the competitive landscape and we've been told we need to step up our game. It's time to use data and unleash some real personalization. Okay, the situation is this. Our Vets Online practice caters for all sorts of animals. True, as our website says, we focus on cats, dogs, birds, snakes and even house pigs. But we're a generalist. We cater for everything. Now, a new online practice has opened up and it's really starting to steal our business. The thing is, they specialise in cats, and only cats. But that is a massive percentage of our revenue. Cats are popular. When our customers visit our new competitor, it's all about cats. And as a result, they feel like maybe my cat will be better in their hands. When they look at us, we're too general. Our message is no longer relevant. So it's time for us to get our paws out. We don't want our business to tail off, or we don't even want to lose by a whisker. It's time to get serious about personalisation. And that's what we're going to do in this video. We're going to walk through how we can use data that we've embedded in the website's data layer to design personalised experiences using Google Optimize's personalisation feature. We're going to change the design and words of our site so that if someone has a cat, we're all about cats. And then we're going to deploy that as a test to see if it reduces bounce rates. Okay, so that's the setup. The first thing we need to do is understand what a data layer is. Here we have our amazing website, and you can see that it's showing our normal page about cats, dogs and birds. Our plan is to test whether deploying some cat-centric personalisation for cat owners will have a positive impact. To that end, we want to change these three boxes all to be cat-based. The first question, of course, is how do we know that the person looking at our site is interested in cats? And the second question that closely follows that is how do we get that information into Google Optimize? Unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, the technology doesn't yet exist to read people's minds, but we do have a way of setting up data flows that can give us a strong indication. For example, we can set up UTMs on links coming in from off-site, pay-per-click, advertising, affiliates, that kind of thing. But we will also have a lot of valuable customer data probably stored around the various systems in our business. For example, in our e-commerce system, if a customer is buying a lot of cat food, the chances are they have a cat. And if we have a pet record, which in our fictitious case we do, we definitely know they have a cat. So the trick is, how do we get that into a place we can use it? Now, there are obviously multiple ways of doing this, and there's not necessarily a correct answer, but a method that's become reasonably standard in customer experience technology is to use a JavaScript variable on the page named dataLayer. In this method, data placed into the data layer can be passed around and used in multiple tools, for example, Google Optimize and Tag Manager. And there is a bit of standardization going on around this principle, so it's worth considering. This video is about Google Optimize though, so while we do need to touch on the data layer, I'm not going to bang on too much about it. It is a very useful concept though, so I'll do a separate video exploring some of the things you can do. Hit subscribe to add that to your feed. But to give a quick overview of the concept, let's have a quick look at the data layer on our website here. First, let's open the web developer tool in Chrome. You do this via the View menu, then Developer, and in this case I'm going to go straight to the JavaScript console. With this open, I can talk to the program that's running in my browser as part of this website. I said earlier that the data layer is a JavaScript variable, and so I just want to have a quick look and see what information is being stored in it. To do that, I'm going to type data layer. As you can see, that's already being auto-suggested. Hit return on that, and the console will print the contents of the data layer variable. I'm going to zoom in quickly here to make it all a bit easier to see. and then expand that variable. This reveals that in our vet's online website, we have 6 data objects being stored in our data layer. Objects 2, 3, 4 and 5 are being used by Google. The object in location 2 is our GA site code. 3, 4 and 5 are related to Google Tag Manager. But in place 0, which is developer speak for place 1, we have an object called distil customer profile. One of the things we do at Distil is make it really easy to get high quality data into all the touch points where it's needed by customer experience professionals. And if we expand this data object, you can see the data that's being pushed. We've detected who the customer is, we've looked at their browsing and spending behavior on your site and determined that their top interest is pet food, and that, good news, they're a high spender. We've also pulled the type of pet they have from their pet's record. Then all of that has been loaded into the data layer, which is now ready to be used by tools like Google Optimize. Now, you don't have to use Distil to get this data into the data layer. You can ask your engineering team to do it, but at Distil, we just make it really easy for you to get this data at your fingertips. And by the way, we've also got great AI algorithms that help with personalization. Okay, advert for our service is over. Hopefully now you can see that with the data layer, you have a reasonably standard method for getting rich data into the behind the scenes area of your website, which means you can use it to do things front of stage. Now let's switch over to Google Optimize and use it to build some personalization. Here we are back in Google Optimize. Our new heading experiment from the first A/B testing video is still running. I'm looking forward to seeing the results of that. But no messing around this time. Let's dive straight in and create a new experience. This time we're going to choose the personalization option. Immediately we can see that we have a different first action to previously in A/B testing. Instead of being asked to create a series of variants, this time we're being asked to make just one set of site changes. With personalization, we edit the site so it's more personal and relevant to a specific segment of our audience. In the setup for this video, we've decided that that is cat owners. Once we've created that modified site design, we restrict who we show it to based on data, thus creating a personal experience. We'll set up that connection to our data layer in a minute, but first, let's check we have the editor page correct. We do. Then click Make Site Changes so we can start working on our personalization. In the first Optimize video, we talked through how the designer instructs the robotic hand of Google to reach out the virtual sky and modify our site. So I'm not going to go over that again now. If you've not seen it, go and check it out. For now, creative design geniuses have already given us their new perfect cat-centric personalization design. What we need to do now is sit back, put on some music and make those changes. Well, there we go. That certainly is very cat focused. We better not show that to anyone who has a dog, or a bird, or a house pig, or a snake. The design is done, so let's connect up our data so we can activate this for our target audience. When we set up our A/B test, we restricted the people who were exposed to our experiment by just using a percentage of all visitors. That's not going to work here. We want to have our personalization shown to just those who have cats. In personalization experiments, that's done using audience targeting. We have a lot of options in here that we can use to trigger our cat-centric experience. For example, we can link it to a Google ad or a UTM code, or even geography, though I'm not sure how that could be applied here unless we know of an island of cat-mad people. But we know our data lives in our data layer, and as that's a standard Google option, we have an option for that in this menu. Next, we need to select the data layer variable we want to use to identify our audience. We already have a few variables set up, but we don't yet have one connected to our pet type. Here, we need to add the path to our variable. Remembering back to the JavaScript console, we can see that the path is distil_customer_profile, and then the object in that is pet_type. If you're using Distil, then this is made really easy for you. Otherwise, ask your engineers how they've hooked it up, or look it up in the console using the trick I showed you at the start of the video. Let's give it a friendly name and hit create. That saves the variable, and so now it can be used in multiple experiments, with your data flowing nicely through the data layer into Optimise. We need to use that now to activate our personalization. But that's easy. When the pet type is cat, activate our personalization. Right, we're ready to go. Though obviously we've rigged up quite a bit of stuff and you might want to test it. And there's a button on here which is really useful, and that's this debug button. This can be found on the preview menu button. When you click this, it loads our site and also a debug panel. This shows all of the rules you have running and if they have been met. If everything is green, like it is here, then your personalization will run. If not, then it won't. So it's a great way to test. And you can do this before putting your experiment live. So that's how to do data-driven personalization using Google Optimize. There's one thing though. How do we know if our new cat-centric focus works? At the moment, we're just showing it to everyone who has a cat. Really, we want to show it to only 50% of people who have cats, leaving the other 50% of people seeing the original site. And that sounds a bit like an A/B test. And to finish things off in a nice circular way, we can now deploy this as an A/B test. Returning to Optimize and our running personalization experiment, we can click this little menu here. One of our options is, by magic, create A/B test. If we follow this through, this will end our current personalization experiment and it will convert it to a new A/B test, putting our personalization and the audience it's targeting as a variant against the original site design. There we go. That's it converted. And now you can put that live. And if you want to know how to do A/B testing, go back and watch the first video. So that's a quick overview of Google Optimize Personalization feature. If you found this useful, please click like. Creating a relevant message extends beyond your site. You need to attract visitors and you need to retain customers. Check out the other videos in this channel where we talk about topics such as advertising audiences and hyper-personalized email campaigns. Hit subscribe to add them to your feed, and if you have anything you'd like to see, please put it in the comments.